You stupid.
Oh, wow!
Welcome to the art of the roast, and if you can't tell, roasting can be quite dangerous, especially in a room full of fragile egos and misguided self-worth, which is why if you're going to roast someone, you gotta know when and where to do it. An awards show filled with grown adults who work in the entertainment industry may seem like a good place to dish out some sick burns, but as we established in my Oscar bait video, you should never try to come between an actor and meeting Oscar. That's just a recipe for disaster. So you should avoid roasting celebrities when they are at their most fragile, which tends to be at awards shows. So when and where should you try to roast celebrities? Well, thanks to a little thing I like to call most celebrities are dum-dums, you can pretty easily convince some of these ding-dongs to set up a whole event to get roasted at. And sometimes they're even kind of funny. I love a good roast, and I'd wager a good chunk of the world is right there with me, whether it's Martin Short and Steve Martin tearing each other apart on stage, or Jon Lovitz and Bill Burr on a podcast ripping the hell out of each other. I love a good roast. From the outside, a roast, or as the now middle-aged kids once said, a sick burn may look mean-spirited and rude. And that can be the case sometimes, of course. But in my experience, a good roast is a term of endearment. I used to do a good bit of stand-up comedy back in the day, and in the world of stand-up, a comedian roasting you is a pretty cool thing, especially if they're actually funny. I remember finishing a 5-minute set once and getting maybe 2 laughs through the whole thing, and walking off stage to see one of the comedians from earlier in the night approaching me. I thought this comedian was super funny, so I told him I thought he was funny. And he said, "Thanks, man, you were great too. But has anyone ever told you look like Tom Cruise if you really loved bread and jerking off?" I laughed harder at this than anyone did at my entire set. A good roast isn't about the person being roasted, it's about what the comedian on the other side can come up with. It's all in the name of fun, and just because you aren't able to laugh at yourself doesn't mean others can't. If you're going to partake in a roast, you'd better make sure you can laugh at yourself, because if you can't, you're gonna look like a whiny crybaby who lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady got roasted recently, and he did not take it all that well. He said the roast affected his kids, so he wouldn't do it again, but I call bullshit, Mr. Brady, you pouty-mouthed Neanderthal. Tom Brady talked about how he loved roasts and comedy shows, yet somehow didn't realize that nothing was off limits at a roast. He said he was friends with Jeff Ross, one of the most famous put-down comedians ever, and didn't think he'd make jokes about anything he could. Now, Tom Brady reportedly told the roasters before the show not to joke about a few specific things, like the scandal surrounding Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, getting caught in a prostitution bust. But have you ever met a comedian before? The good ones don't give a shit what you want them to say, they'll say what they think is funny.
That scrawny rookie famously walked into the owner Robert Kraft's office and said, "I'm the best decision your organization has ever made. Would you like a massage?" I love Robert Kraft. I love... Okay.
Leave it to Tom loves to kiss his son on the lips Brady to think he's special enough to change how making fun of people works. That shit is cartoonishly self-centered and disconnected. And hey, speaking of cartoons, American Dad parodied celebrity roasts in the episode The Great Space Roaster in the show's 5th season. In this episode, Roger wants to be roasted for his birthday, but his feelings are hurt so bad by the roast that he decides to kill the Smith family. When your reactions and behaviors begin to mimic a cartoon character that is being purposefully over the top and goofy, maybe take a good long look in the mirror and think, am I really that special? The more disconnected you are from reality, the worse a roast is likely going to be. For example, the roast of Chevy Chase. Now, Chevy Chase is a famous comedian and even more famous asshole, and by all accounts, he thinks very highly of himself and assumed for a long while that everyone loved him as a person. However, Chevy Chase, as I said earlier, is a notorious asshole, and after his roast in 2002, he reportedly sobbed, wept, and slipped into a depression in his hotel room as the roast host comforted him. If you're going to get roasted, you better make sure you can mentally handle it. If you were, for instance, lying to yourself for years and saying everyone loves me while being selfish and rude to everyone you interacted with, maybe don't sign up for a roast.
This actually isn't a roast, Chevy. It's an intervention. We are all here. We want you to stop making movies, television, anything. Please stop. You're out of control. You're in denial. No one wants you to work anymore but you. It's selfish.
Now, assholes like Chevy Chase have earned a good, brutal roast, and that is certainly a case where comedians can tend to go for the kill instead of the laugh. But what about people that literally ask for it? Chevy Chase may have deserved a good roast, but he definitely didn't think that's what he was signing up for because he was a delusional idiot. Tom Brady and the alien Roger from that cartoon I was talking about, on the other hand, literally asked for it, and neither of them could handle it. If you're gonna get roasted, you have to be able to laugh at everything about yourself. A lot of people will say, oh, I can laugh at myself, it's easy. And sure, a lot of people can laugh some things off and move on. But I'm talking about being able to laugh about everything about yourself, because that's the ammunition you're going up against. It's gonna start off on the surface level, but then it goes deeper and deeper until it reaches the very core of your being. If you're the kind of person who uses their own children as an excuse for your hurt feelings, you probably can't handle a roast. Now, I know what you're all thinking. How on earth do I avoid being like Chevy Chase, Tom Brady, and that cartoon alien guy? And it's really easy. Be kind to the people around you and never take yourself too seriously. There is no joke said at a roast that is so bad or so funny that it will ruin your life or self-image. If someone roasts you, laugh and try to come up with something else. Because roasting people isn't about hurting feelings, it's about laughing at our own and other people's shortcomings, flaws, and insecurities. Life is way too short to take yourself so seriously, and there is no better example of a roast done right than Norm Macdonald's set at the roast of Bob Saget. Norm Macdonald was good friends with Bob Saget, and by most accounts, he wasn't a big fan of roasts. Norm decided to do the roast, but he was going to do it in his own way to avoid being mean to his dear friend. Norm's set was 8 minutes of some of the oldest, simplest jokes imaginable, delivered in the most flawless way possible.
Bob, you have a lot of well-wishers here tonight, and a lot of them would like to throw you down one. A well. They want to murder you in a well. Seems a little harsh, but apparently they want to murder you in a well. It says here on this card.
Norm didn't want to be mean to his dear friend, so instead he found a way to make fun of roasts and himself, all while baffling and cracking up the audience. So don't worry about making a fool of yourself, and especially don't even worry about getting a laugh. Just go up and do what you think is right and what you think is funny. And if the audience laughs, that's great. But if they don't, there will be plenty of time for you to laugh about it later and come up with something else for next time. Tom Brady may have struggled to let go of his ego at his roast, and in all fairness, if anyone has earned a bit of an ego, it's the greatest quarterback in NFL history so far. And I was going to end this video with another joke about Tom Brady kissing his son, but instead, here's a clip of him losing to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Yeah, fuck yeah, go Birds, we got one, the Patriots can have the rest, yeah, 7-1, oh shit, this is the footage of them beating us. Oh, fuck.